and welcome to today's edition of the Pastor's Study. Dealing with discouragement, dealing with ridicule, dealing with those that come at you, mock you, despise you, don't want you getting ahead, don't like that you got ahead, is a very difficult thing. How do you deal with this? How do you deal with those individuals who come at you and dig in your side and, like that, it's like a tiny little pebble in the bottom of your shoe when you can't take your shoe off. When you're in a place and you can't take the shoe off, it hurts and it's annoying and it's frustrating. So how do you do that? Well, Nehemiah shows us. He gives us that example in chapter 4, in beginning with verse 10 through verse 16. He paints this picture that things are difficult, that the enemy is coming at them, that the enemy is annoying, that the enemy is plotting and planning to attack. And so there's a couple things that he does. A couple things. He says, when I saw them, he saw the people fear. He says, he rose up and he spoke. He says, do not be afraid of them. Remember the Lord who is great and awesome. And fight for your brothers, your sons, your daughters, and your wives, and your homes. I think one of the keys first off, in dealing with frustration, in dealing with discouragement, is to go back and remind yourself of God's greatness. Go back to those moments and times where God has provided, where God has taken care of you, where God has met a need, kept you safe, protected you. Maybe you have to go all the way back to the day that He opened up your eyes to your moment of salvation. But go back to that moment in time and remember that. Rejoice in that. Build upon that. Because that God who was faithful then will be faithful now. And then Nehemiah also does some other things. That it says that he stationed people and their families with swords and spears. He said he was alerting people to be prepared. He was being diligent. He said, watch out for the enemy. 1 Peter 5:7 says, be sober, be vigilant. The enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. Here Peter is saying, watch out, because Satan's prowling around looking for you in that moment of weakness. Well, when you're focused on God, you'll be ready. So Nehemiah prepares the people to alert them, reminds them of who God is, and then he says that from that day onward, half of my servants carried on the work, while half of them held to the spears and the shield. That's a great thing about prayer partners, friends who can pray with you. Sometimes they're alert to your needs, and sometimes you're going to be alerted to theirs. Follow it, and that's the importance of fellowship with the body of believers, so that together we can encourage and lift one another. Till next time in the Pastor's Study, goodbye, and may God bless.